Matt Walsh is a political commentator from the Daily Wire, and he appeared on the Dr. Phil show where he discussed gender pronouns with two non-binary activists, Addison and Ethan.
Sex is what's between the legs, and gender is what's between the ears, right? It's how we see ourselves on the inside.
That's something somebody can't know. Gender is something somebody can't know just by looking at somebody.
Nope, yeah. It's really, about us breaking that assumption that we can tell someone's identity, someone's story, their pronouns, even their name, just based on how they look.
The rhetoric, gender is on the inside and you need an X-ray vision in order to see people's true gender, is absolutely ridiculous. It's true that transsexuals who haven't transitioned yet or are in the beginning of it, they don't pass as the opposite sex, but what's important to note is how that's temporary. Meaning it's all true transsexuals' goal to look like the opposite sex in order for other people to assume their gender. So when these non-binary activists claim that it's offensive to assume someone's gender, it's actually transsexuals' big end goal. A perfect example of how the non-binary and the QIA+ community contradicts true transsexualism and common sense.
Cisgender, it says adjective that describes a person whose gender identity matches or aligns with the gender he or she was assigned at birth. This would be what has been traditional for centuries, right? Why does it need a term?
If we don't use that term, then we end up saying maybe real men or normal men or regular men, right? Or we just say men, and then we say maybe transgender men, right? And the thing is that we need to realize that trans women are women, trans men are men too. And so we just want to have a term for that privilege, that assumption that your gender identity is going to match the one that you were assigned at birth.
I will never normalize the word cisgender. What's wrong with the terms normal or real men and women? In the context of talking about people who are different, in this case trans people, it would be natural to describe everyone else as the normal ones. We have men and we have trans men. We are different, and that's okay. I'm not a real man, and that's okay. For these activists to say that we're both men is erasing the trans part, and I interpret that as them feeling a form of shame of the transsexual experience.
For transgender people, we are assigned a sex at birth, and when we grow up, when there's a mismatch of how we view ourselves and how society views us, then we can choose to, either medically transition or just socially transition or both.
A couple of things are worded wrong here, and I'm sure you all know what. We are not assigned a sex at birth. It's not some evil doctor or nurse who decide what sex we are. No one put a sex on us at birth. We all have a biological sex, and 99% of all human beings are comfortable with that. The other problem is how he's using terms like mismatch and society, but not gender dysphoria. My mental health issues did not depend on society. It was an internal struggle, a struggle these activists don't even care to word. Mismatch is not even a descriptive term of how it really feels. That's why I bring up gender dysphoria up in every single video I make, because my experience is people are more understanding and sympathetic, and it all makes more sense when I'm using this term.
So you think it's a delusion? Someone is self-delusional?
Yeah, I think it's delusion. It could be mental illness. It could be it's a lot of different things. With children,
Wow.
There's also.
I'm not really sure what's a delusion or a mental illness, because one of my biggest issues with fellow conservatives talking about this topic is how they're not really explanatory or specific enough when making their arguments. Transsexualism is not a delusion. The essence of being gender dysphoric is to feel unbearable pain about things you do see and do hear. We can describe it as the pain of knowing the truth. But of course, transsexualism is caused by a mental illness, so he's right about that if that's what he's talking about. So it's kind of a shame he didn't mention gender dysphoria right after claiming that it's a mental illness, because if he just moves on like he did, he gets this reaction from the other side. I'm pretty excited to show what's coming next, so grab your popcorn and sit tight.
Well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology, is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. Like, what is a woman?
Well-
Can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
Someone with female reproductive organs. When you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not
But
myself.
you used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right? So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people
That describes what?
people who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own. Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently.
That doesn't-
and so
I'm not
trans
asking for
women are women too.
This is quite iconic. The way that he kept asking, what is a woman? It's brilliant. How is it possible to define what a trans woman is, but it's not possible to define what a woman is? Make it make sense. I agree with him because it's the truth. A woman is an adult human female. Trans women are biological men who deal with the condition gender dysphoria, and they try to live their lives as if they were women. They try to get the physical aesthetics of a woman just in order to get the condition alleviated. But Marcus, you always say that you are a biological female, and you just described a woman as a biological female. Are you saying you're a woman then? I mean, the objective truth is that I'm a woman with a medical condition. I live my everyday life as a man, and everyone around me, strangers or people who do know me, they see me as a man. But I'll never be one. Oh my god, people are gonna be so triggered. When I say I will never be a man, I will always be different from a real man, but that is okay. I mean, I do not have a single problem with it. So, yeah, moving on. Matt's statement does not become less right or less true just because 0.01% of the entire population make an exception. A woman is anyone who identifies as a woman is a statement you hear a lot in the QIA plus non-binary community. Identify is a loose term, so identifying as a woman in the end means because I said so. It's so incredibly insulting to both real women and real trans women.
You want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals,
No.
our chromosomes, right? That's what you're
What
saying.
you want to
is that
do is
that's what we are at the end of
what
the
you
day.
want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood
Okay.
and turn it into basically a costume that can be worn.
Is he wrong though? I know that Addison said that he doesn't identify as a woman, but if he's not a man simply because he has long hair and eye makeup on, I think it's fair to call it a costume and appropriation. I don't know much about Matt Walsh, but I know his type. He's a conservative being critical of the trans ideology. The problem is, Matt will generalize about transsexuals based on radical non-binary QIA plus people. And I think that's so wrong. When these trans-critical conservatives, they ask the community, how can you feel like something that you're not? Their answer is absolutely embarrassing and ridiculous. And it makes me frustrated because I feel like, this is just my opinion, that I can answer that way better than they can. My dysphoric experience is not about feeling like a boy as a girl, because technically I don't know what that feels like. It was about me not feeling like a girl, which I had that experience with. And if I wanted to live a happy life, which we basically all deserve, I needed to live my life as the opposite sex with knowing that I will never be it. I will never be a real man. and I'll always be a biological woman, but trying as hard as I can to look and sound like a man, it will alleviate my condition quite much. If I had the opportunity to talk to conservatives like Matt Walsh, I would be so thrilled, because I feel like we can have a really great conversation, very nuanced and honest. How great would that be? Thank you all for watching this video. Leave a comment down below how you feel about this whole debate on Dr. Phil, how you feel about Matt Walsh, and how you felt about what I said in this video. But see you in my next. Peace out.